Welcome, everyone, to episode 7 of Around the Table Wrestling Scoops. I'm Tyler Peters on behalf of WrestleBuddy.com, and joining me is the insider. He is the one who operates the wrestling blog. And how are you doing today?
I'm good, Tyler. How about you?
Doing fantastic. As always, this is a pleasure to be able to discuss and have a conversation that entails professional wrestling headlines. Uh, Before we go any farther, though, into this great dialogue of ours, we must remember and pay respects to an icon that we just lost last week, Wednesday, June the 7th, to be exact, and that would be WWE Hall of Famer, the Iron Sheik. Are there any memories that stand out to you about Sheik that you would like to share?
Um, I don't got any memories because I never had the chance to see any of the matches of him. But I send all my condolences and my prayers to his family, all his friends.
I concur. We do send all our condolences. Well said, my friend, and that's okay, and it's fair. A lot of us have to go back and research about the Iron Sheik, but we did lose a trailblazer, a icon to the industry, meaning professional wrestling. So I hated to start us off on a somber note, but we had to pay tribute to a man that paved the way, and that would be the Iron Sheik. He was 81 years old. Rest in peace to Sheiky Baby, as one of his famous cliches would go. But starting out, I wanted to ask you, because thanks to your assistance on these questions and answers, this Q&A, in other words, how impressed is WWE currently with Dominic Mysterio? What can you tell us about that?
Well, it depends the way you're asking the question.
Okay.
Like, impressed talents-wise, impressed the heat that he's receiving from the fan base, impressed on how well he's managing to keep keyface, inside and outside of WWE, because as of right now, Dominic is one of the minor people that keeps keyface alive, inside and outside of the company.
Certainly. I mean, he's definitely getting a lot of heat from the crowd and some positive responses. I think it's safe to say some tremendous reaction from all the people. So I'm not surprised if they're impressed by what he's able to do when referencing Dominic Mysterio. I guess the way I was wording it, you expressed something to me concerning how maybe management feels toward Dominic. I mean, obviously they feel very good regarding Dominic Mysterio, pairing him in Judgment Day with Rhea Ripley and
here's the
them
thing about that.
as a tandem. Pardon me.
And here's the thing about that. When Dominic arrived to WWE, to start his wrestling career, not a lot of people were not impressed with him. All right, they were not hot with him. A lot of people were saying just because he's a Rey Mysterio son doesn't mean he has to go straight out to the main roster. People from the company, Tyler, I'm talking about what I heard from people from the company saying just because he's Rey Mysterio's son doesn't mean he has to go to the main roster. He should have went to NXT to work it out. And I kind of agree with that. At the beginning when Dominic joined WWE, I was like, just because he's Rey Mysterio's son doesn't mean straight out go to the main roster. Nah, he should have went to NXT. But this Judgment Day thing, it did a whole 360 turn for Dominic.
It helped him.
It did an entire 360 turn. Like, he fan, ring performance, everything. Even people at management around WWE are impressed how Dominic joining Judgment Day did a whole 360 turn to his career.
It's very interesting.
Yeah,
and I would concur with you that Dominic may have needed to spend some time in the Performance Center. You're talking about NXT, but after this Judgment Day ordeal, and that's what I was saying, Rhea Ripley, the pairing of those two, and now getting programmed with Cody Rhodes and all these big rivalries so far that we're seeing play out on TV. I'll tell you, when the fans don't even let you speak or say a lot of words, when you're discussing your promos, it tells you a lot.
And here's the thing: people are thinking because they watch SmackDown and Raw at the TV and they're not at the arena, they think the management is popping, popping the crowd, making noises and everything just to make it look that Dominic's getting. No. I've been at 2 episodes of Raw, and I was at SmackDown at Puerto Rico, all right? Because I traveled, I went there. And I can tell you, the heat, it is not edited, so they can look at on the live stream that Dominic is the real thing. We're just editing so they can see that he's getting hit. No. The heat is real. I've been at 2 episodes of Raw.
I don't doubt it.
I've been at 2 episodes of Raw, and I can tell you, it is real. People are booing, telling Dominic, you suck. Fuck you, Dominic. Like screaming, and they're not allowing him to speak. It's a real heat. It's not fake. It's not their popping crowd noise. No. It's real.
You can tell people are sincere. To your point, that Dominic is literally just despised by the people, and I think that's a great thing in wrestling. That makes you suspend your disbelief when, like you said, it's genuine. Their dislike for Dominic Mysterio.
And the thing is about this, Tyler, it's been a very, very long time that WWE had a wrestler that has been over with the fans, that they hate him inside and outside the company. It's been a very long time. That's why I'm very impressed with this. I gotta give a round of applause to Dominic and WWE for doing this, because they literally changed his career. It did a whole 360 for him.
Well, it's definitely assisted in Dominic Mysterio's career. It's hard to argue or not agree with you. But let's switch gears a little bit to some AEW news. I mean, besides Adam Cole, which AEW wrestler could make a feud with MJF exciting? And that's not a knock against Adam Cole. I just it's a what-if scenario. I wanted to pose the question to you. Who in your mind stands out with that roster, with All Elite Wrestling? Who could make it very compelling if they were to ignite a new feud with MJF after the Adam Cole versus MJF rivalry that we're witnessing right now?
I would say Ricky Stark.
Ricky Starks, okay. And you may have mentioned that before. I'm having to remember. Forgive me, folks.
Yeah,
I'll have to go back and watch the archived episodes of this.
Yeah, I did. I'm not saying this because I'm a fan of his work or because, he's a good No. I'm saying because he's a legit wrestler, all right? And I'm feeling Ricky Stark and MJF would be a good rivalry. They are 2 very young talents. They got the mic skill. They got the ring performance. It would be a very good storyline. Now, the thing is...
No, go ahead.
The thing is, Ricky Stark has mentioned multiple times, I don't mind working as a babyface, all right? But I'm a heel. I like doing heel stuff, all right? MJF, he's a heel inside and outside the company, all right? So if they wouldn't make this, I don't know how they're going to make it work with the fans and the storyline, because one way or another, one of them has to go babyface. Because they have tried multiple times.
I would think so.
Because they had tried multiple times in different companies at WWE of having a storyline between a heel and a heel. It never works out, right? It never does. So, and most likely, they're going to, they might have to have Ricky Stark turning face. And, and then maybe just go back to heel when he wins the title,
Yeah, I mean, but to me, if you're going to have Ricky Starks and MJF, you got to have MJF being the villainous character. But you are so correct. I mean, he portrays it outside of the programs. I mean, it makes you believe in him, and that's what we were talking about with Dominic Mysterio. They're two different people, and their personalities vary, but you could see similarities where they're making us believe in what they're doing, what they're saying, their actions. And Ricky Starks has that. I'm not taking anything away from absolute Ricky Starks. I wouldn't mind seeing a feud. It looked like they were attempting to put the two together, on opposite sides. And Ricky Starks actually held his own, as far as promos against MJF. So this alone would make some captivating, television, whether it be Dynamite, which I would think you'd put it on Dynamite. You wouldn't save it for Rampage or a Collision. I mean, with all due respect to those shows. But I'm with you. I think Ricky Starks, MJF, let's give it another go. Let's try it
And,
out again.
and here's the thing: I don't know what happened there because they literally teased us that they were gonna do MJF and Ricky Starks for the AEW title. They were doing promos. They were going back at each other, and then I don't know.
I was meaning that. That's what I was alluding to. That's what confused me as well. Why didn't we continue it?
Like they were having promos. They were going back at each other. I think that was like around February or March or April. It was around WrestleMania. When the rumors were out that Ricky Starks was backstage at Royal Rumble, that he was actually backstage at Royal Rumble. That's when they started teasing us that, and then I don't know, it's just disappeared. I don't even remember if they had a match. I don't even recall if they actually had a match or not. AEW.
I don't remember. I'm in the same boat. I can't recall if they ever had a contest. Meaning a match. I'm using an old school term there. I'm meaning a wrestling match for those who are not aware.
And it's like I had told you multiple times that I don't despise a company, right? I don't hate any company. I respect every company. But the thing I hate about AEW is they don't follow storylines. They don't. And I despise that, all right? I hate that. If you're going to give me a match, have a storyline. Have a good storyline. Give me a storytelling. Why you're being rivals? Like, that's what I like. I like the storyline. Besides the match performance, I like to have a good storyline. I don't want just a match out of nowhere and be like, okay, so why are y'all fighting? Because let's be honest, the Forbidden Door, what they're gonna do? They're gonna have Okada versus MJF. I'm just assuming because I don't know what they're doing.
No, I think it's against Danielson. I think he challenged Okada.
Oh yeah. I forgot about, but just assuming, just for example, what's the storyline there? You're just gonna announce the match the week before, and then out of nowhere, everybody's gonna.
I get your criticism, but this is where I would disagree with New Japan and AEW working together. I don't know that you necessarily have to have a lot of background. Who knows? Didn't Bryan Danielson wrestle over in New Japan? Maybe they had a history prior to this Forbidden Door event. That's where I could see maybe it being more logical and giving AEW more of a pass on these kind of events and even their programs.
I think Daniel have a story of fighting at New Japan before he was at WWE, if I remember, because I know Daniel Bryan. I know Daniel Bryan, he was just jumping everywhere before he joined WWE. But the thing is, what I'm trying to say, Tyler, is like, if you're going to give me a match at AEW January, give me a storyline. Because let's be honest, this week, they officially say Chris Jericho and Darby Allin versus, I forgot this guy from Chris Jericho and the other guy. I forgot his name. And then last week, Chris Jericho was in a rivalry. And the previous week, he was in another. I'm like, what is going on? Like, Chris Jericho's on 3 rivalries right now. Like, what the hell?
I think if they're done correctly, they could work 3 rivalries. I'm just kind of trying to see the different side of how AEW books their matches and storylines. I get the critiques. I've kind of fell in that same category of being harsh on them. But I've tried to step back and kind of see how they process the way they do things more.
I don't mind having multiple rivalries at the same time, but I'm the kind of person that prefers quality over quantity. That's what I prefer.
And hey, and I respect your opinion. I think that's all it is. Hey, it's our perspectives and what we like. But
And that's what
AEW, I think
and that's what New
no.
Japan and WWE they've been doing lately, like for the past year and a half. They're doing quality over quantity. Because WWE they were doing pay-per-views of 8, 12, 14 matches. New Japan they were doing pay-per-view of 12 matches and even 20 matches. Now they're doing quality because they want to have a good performance. They want to have good matches. They want to have a good pay-per-view. And like I gotta give props to Tony Khan because this past double or nothing, he gave us quality over quantity. And I was
I mean,
not.
I heard a lot of good things, and I didn't. To be fair, I did not get the view double or nothing, but I heard so many positive comments about how Tony Khan handled Double or Nothing. So it's good to hear. We don't love to knock Tony Khan. We want to give him his fair and just due. So I'm very thrilled that Double or Nothing came off as a wonderful show.
And the thing is, like, Double or Nothing this year didn't feel like the past couple years, right? It was feeling kind of odd. But the show came in, they gave us a good show. And like I tell everybody all over my social media all the time, I don't hate any company. I give the respect to everybody. But if I don't agree with something, I will say it. I don't hate any
It's your
company.
right to disagree.
I disagree and I will say it, but I don't go to Twitter and say, I hate Tony Khan. I hate AEW. No. If I don't agree with something, I would say it. But I am a person that watch Impact Wrestling. I watch AEW. I watch every show. All right, because you got to keep in track of everybody. Because let's say
you do.
somebody from New Japan goes free agent, then he appears at WWE. Everybody's gonna be like, "Who are you?" And if you watch, I'm not saying you watch every New Japan episode, but if you watch like, their pay-per-view or some important events, you're gonna be like, oh, I know this guy. He's from New Japan. He's Will Ospreay. Oh, he's Okada. I know him.
Wait, he's familiar. I mean, it's just a natural reaction that
It's
that
just
we
like
all
AJ.
get, whether we're watching anything.
You remember when AJ Styles debuted at Royal Rumble? I think it was 2016 or 2015. Remember?
I mean, how could you forget? What a memorable moment.
Everybody at the beginning was like, I don't know who, and then everybody, oh, AJ Styles, because people started, but at the beginning everybody was like, they were confused, but then they were like, oh, AJ Styles, oh, I know, I seen his rumor all week long on social media. I was like, you really know AJ Styles just because he was rumored all week long on social media. You don't know him because of TNA, New Japan. That kind of disappointed me, all right?
Yeah, because AJ had such a great career even before WWE. You touched on it, TNA Impact, New Japan. I think he did some things with Ring of Honor. So I think people were more aware of the Phenomenal One than just what you were hearing on the internet. I mean, it definitely elevated him to more exposure when he got to WWE. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful or slight the contributions that TNA Impact had, because I was a fan. I was a fan of stuff New Japan did as well, not just WWE. To your point, I think people definitely knew and heard of, or had heard of, of AJ Styles. So I'm with you. I think there was buzz even without the internet, but that just helped generate it.
Yeah, because it makes me not annoying, but it sometimes disappoints me that some wrestler from another company that is very hot over there goes to another company, and then the people from that company, the fan base, they're like, I don't know who you really are, but I'm just going to follow. It kind of disappoints me. Like, just because you're a WWE fan doesn't mean you cannot watch other brands, all right? You should at least give it a try, just so you're familiar with the product or everyone.
Yeah, give it a chance.
Just so you know, at least their main, main people and all the stuff,
And that goes for being an Impact fan, an AEW fan, or if you're a fan of all of them.
Like,
regardless, give it a look.
Yeah, like any company, you should just give it a try and look at all the brands, just so you know and you're familiar with the product.
Correct. Hard to argue that point. Speaking of Impact, let's segue. I did want to ask you your thoughts on this. Are you excited that Alex Shelley won the Impact World title via against at All Odds? That happened, I believe, last Friday,
I'm
meaning
sorry,
last week.
can you repeat the question again? It kind of froze over here.
Okay, I'll repeat it. Are you excited that Alex Shelley won the Impact World title via the Against All Odds pay-per-view last week? I believe it happened this past Friday. Tell us your thoughts regarding Alex Shelley, not only him winning the world title, defeating Steve Macklin, Alex Shelley. No, I already said Alex Shelley, forgive me. I'm talking about his tag team partner, Chris Sabin, beating Trey Miguel to win the X Division title. So both the Motor City Machine Guns, as far as a tag team, even in singles competition, are now champions. I mean, how's your excitement level?
I will be honest. I did not had a chance to see in the event. I was dealing with some stuff and all that stuff, but I heard good things about around social media, and I saw it. I saw some highlights and all that stuff. I was really impressed, and I give him the props. I give him the respect, well deserved against all odds. That's what I like to see. I like to see some wrestler going against every odds. Even though it's scripted, it gives you the tension. So gotta give him the props for that.
Yeah, I didn't get to see it either, but we were already referencing Impact, so I thought, hey, this being a segue, I'll go ahead and ask an Impact Wrestling question because I want to be fair to Impact as well. Like we were saying, we need to
Yeah,
ask about some other promotions as well.
yeah. I will be honest, Tyler. Impact doesn't get the respect they deserve because lately they've been doing some good shows. They are not getting the respect they've been deserving. Like, not gonna lie.
Yeah, they fall under the radar, and it's a shame because we're talking about Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin. They've got a lot of talent. Steve Macklin, PCO. They've got Trinity Fatu now. They've got Perazzo, and Mickey James, Nick Aldis. A lot of people, whether new or established, or people that have been there, have came back. In other words, have returned. Scott D'Amore is doing a lot of tremendous things at Impact Wrestling with pay-per-views and their TV programs and their content on YouTube. So D'Lo Brown has recently came out, speaking of Impact, and said he has praised the storylines and the way the matches have progressed, why Impact is a great, option for any wrestling fan. So he's praised it. I think he's one of the executives, from what I believe or have gathered. I may be wrong on that fact. You can correct me, or somebody I'm sure out there on Twitter. But that's high praise coming from somebody like D'Lo Brown that's been involved with the company. I think there was a period where he was out of Impact, but there's been a lot of just encouraging comments directed toward Impact on what they're doing. Even if you're not an avid viewer, maybe you're viewing it casually or not at all, you're hearing a lot of just amazing things when you're mentioning Impact Wrestling. So I'm glad you touched upon that because it helped me remember things I even read up on, and I don't get an opportunity to always watch Impact either.
I don't cover Impact a lot on my page. When I see something really very important, I cover on my page. But I was gonna say last night on my page, I was gonna say, listen, guys, Impact's not getting the respect they deserve. All right, like lately they're being the under. Right now they're the underdogs. All right.
Oh, they are.
They've been giving good shows. They've been doing good performance. They have a very good roster right now. Like, they're really under the radar of everybody because everybody is just
a solid roster. Frankie Kazarian's another one. I mean, I'm forgetting all the talent they've got. It shows you so much.
Like, everybody's just focused on AEW, WWE, and New Japan.
New Japan.
But like Impact's not getting
the respect. Impact gets lost in the shuffle. Is what you're saying.
And Impact used to be a good. I'm not saying Impact's bad. It used to be a good fan base back then. I'm talking about a couple years ago, right?
Oh, it had a huge fan base a couple years ago, back when it started, and really, got established under Total Nonstop Action Wrestling. That's where I can remember AJ
Like,
Styles and
I
Jeff
don't
Jarrett bringing
like.
some
I
of the
just
old and new together.
It's just like I'm trying to recall. Like I'm trying to recall and like rewind of what actually happened. That Impact just went, went from a very top tier wrestling company that a lot of people used to watch to just went to the bottom. Like I'm just trying to
I think
recall.
it may be management, personnel changes. I'm not certain on this, but I can only speculate. It could
And
be due to
AEW,
TV deals or a lot of behind the scenes
yeah,
occurrences.
and
But who knows?
AEW tried to help them during the pandemic and all those stuff, but it's just like people were not tuning in. Even though Kenny Omega was appearing over there, the Jump Bucks were appearing, even John Moxley, but people were not tuning in. Like it's just like I'm saying, like Impact went from just a very respected company, from a very big company, they went down to here in just in a matter of years. Like it's just like I don't even.
Which is a shame.
It's just like I don't even remember how did this happen.
I don't remember the exact details either. I'm just saying, man, Impact. I'm glad they're getting some momentum. They're finding their gear, their niche, I guess is what I was trying to get at with the terminology there. But they've got so much talent, and I mean, it's just in their stories and their production. They don't get enough credit, and it is kind of disappointing when you think about, hey, an alternative is not always AEW, it's not always New Japan. There's NWA, there's Impact, there's a lot of good independent promotions. So I'm glad we're opening up the conversation a bit, and that's what we've been striving to do on the past episodes. But we need to show Impact some love, not just AEW or WWE like you aforementioned. So I'm glad we're transitioning to some Impact news and further discussion as well, and giving them their props. So
Yeah, I'm that kind of
kudos to Impact.
yeah, I'm that kind of person that is openly to talk about any company, right? Because I watch. I'm not saying I'm 24/7 watching every. I'm aware of the product. I watch it sometimes, but my main focus is WWE and AEW because I'm just gonna say in quotes, is the big rivalry right now, even though they're not rivals. AEW and WWE, I don't consider a rivalry, right? Whenever AEW reached the 1 million viewership in one episode, then I would consider it. But it's been a very, very, very long time since AEW being around the 1 million viewership, alright? So I don't consider it a rivalry. But I watch every brand. I'm aware of everything.
And who really can comprehend the importance of AEW if they do happen to get to that million mark as far as viewership? They're going to be in the conversation, but I do agree that it's too early to say, oh, they're actual competition. I think that's far-fetched, but the perception compared to reality and reading it in headlines sure makes it seem like it's very important and a good topic, a hot one at that to elaborate on. But it's still going to be a long time. They still got a lot of building to do, but AEW could be on their way. They stop themselves a lot of times, and I think it's good for WWE and all these companies to be competitive because it makes the wrestling business that much better. So that's why we're all such fans of all these companies. We want them all to succeed. I think it would be foolish to say, oh, we want them all to fail, because it's not healthy for the industry.
And you know what, Tyler? A lot of people might not agree with me, but I'm just going to say, I think AEW Collision this upcoming Saturday has a high possibility of hitting the 1 million viewership.
I'm glad you brought up Collision. I was going to ask you a question about AEW's new program on TNT that's premiering this Saturday night, June the 17th. And
I have seen the card. I have seen everybody that is coming back. I will say, I think AEW Collision this upcoming Saturday has a very, very big chance of hitting the 1 million viewership, or even get close to it. But
at least near the mark. It's a strong card. I mean, we know the main event one of the other matches, and help me on this, is Buddy Matthews versus Andrade?
Yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay.
And then we got Miro returning. They already announcing that he's gonna have a match. I would love to see Miro versus Malachi Black. Not gonna lie. I would love to see that.
It would be very fascinating, just their styles and presentation. And
we got SM.
I was intrigued by Miro doing the God gimmick. Now he'll probably have to vary from what he was doing previously, but to have this kind of creative go against the way that Malachi Black is presented with the House of Black I think would draw a lot of interest, and they may still go this route. I'm not sure.
It will. I think it will does, because you got a person that is doing like as a double, something like that, and then you got somebody working at praising God and everything. So I think it will work. It will work.
The dynamic I think could be exciting. That's just me, though. But hey, what are some of the other matches on Collision? Because now that we're on the topic, let's discuss that a little bit.
They haven't fully announced like the entire card, because for what I heard, last night they are fully announcing the cards today and tomorrow. All I know is Miro is gonna be on action. Buddy Matthews versus Andrade. I know SMFTR, CM Punk and FTR, they're gonna be on the main event. Mm-hmm. I forgot against who is going to be the main event.
Samoa Joe, Switchblade, Jay White, and Juice Robinson. I think that's the opponents. Yeah.
And then we're going to have
Samoa Joe's. No, I'll let you finish. I was just going to say he's the Ring of Honor Television Champion, and of course FTR are the AEW Tag Team Champions. But and then that'll be a great 6-man.
Yeah, and then we're going to have Ruby Soho and Toni Storm being tag team against two other women. I forgot their names. It's looking as a very good show. But now I'm just trying to clarify. I don't know if the show is going to be a 1-hour show or a 2-hour show, because they haven't. I don't think they haven't mentioned that yet. So I don't know if it's going to be a 1-hour show.
I'm not sure. Yeah, because I've got it set to record, because I had to remind myself, even watching it, and it helps with our preparation on doing these kind of podcasts. It was like I couldn't remember if it's 1 hour or they've added the additional second hour, like they would with Dynamite.
Because they're saying CM Punk is going to have a match. That's confirmed. But now there's a rumor going on that they haven't confirmed yet, that they're saying the CM Punk is supposedly scheduled to open AEW Collision, that he's going to have a promo. There hasn't been any confirmation about this, but that's the rumor that has been going on since yesterday.
Maybe they're trying to recapture the magic that he was able to deliver from that first that one Rampage, not the first Rampage, but the one that was in Chicago, when he had to come out, and to that huge reaction, you see the guy crying in the audience, and then he just of course it's a passionate CM Punk promo, and people can say what they want to about the Second City Saint. He knows how to articulate verbally to the crowd, to the viewers, and I'll tell you, however you feel about CM Punk, the man knows how to get his message across, and those type of personalities are what draw. That's what gets the ratings in. That's what gets the people to buy tickets.
Love him or hate him, he's a moneymaker. I have always said, love him or hate CM Punk, he's a moneymaker, right? But Tony Khan knows what he's doing. Now, I'm going to tell you this, Tyler, about AEW Collision.
All right.
I'm very excited about this, but it came up to my mind. And I seen, people questioning and all the stuff about AEW Collision, that, AEW has too many people on the roster. I agree with that. They got too many people. I think I saw that the roster AEW right now is over 200 wrestlers.
It's a lot.
I think. So, I'm thinking, I seen all the reports, people talking about this, about that. I'm like, I think it's a good time and a good opportunity to doing a brand split.
I was going to ask you. I'm glad you said that. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask.
I think it's a good opportunity and a good moment to do a brand split. You can have AEW Dynamite on Wednesday, You can have AEW collisions on Saturday. Just divide the roster. Just
and mix it up, because you've already got Ring of Honor too. But this way, I would much rather see AEW talent though be utilized on AEW programming and Ring of Honor talent separate on ROH on those type of programs, because to me you're kind of diluting that. That's my criticism with WWE even right now a little bit, even with this free agent loophole with a draft. I want to see more of a consistency factor, and that was the issue with a lot of past drafts, whether it's been WWE or you could use any wrestling company. But this is something that needs to be corrected, at least, if I'm going to be honest and speak my mind a little bit and be real with the audience, our viewers. That's a glaring problem. So I hope AEW does not repeat those type of mistakes, but they probably will, unfortunately.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you, Tyler. I think it's time for all of us to start accepting that there's a good chance that Ring of Honor might be done for good. I think there is no chance that Ring of Honor can be brought to life again. You're having all these AEW superstars being champion at Ring of Honor, trying to bring the prestige to Ring of Honor. Right now, it's kind of hard for Tony Khan manage Ring of Honor. Keep on top of it. The contract television they receive it is not that very good deal. I think I might be wrong, but I just don't see Ring of Honor reaching December of 2024.
And it's sad because Ring of Honor was such a popular brand. They had a tradition, but yet it was a new movement with a lot of the guys that became successful in a lot of these other companies that we're still discussing today. And I think that may be the problem. And I'm glad you helped me remember, as I'm trying to think of the words as I had to pause there naturally, that Ring of Honor, that's the problem. AEW's having to have their stars on the various programming for Ring of Honor, and it's to where people are getting confused. Oh, wait a minute, this is just another AEW show. It's not really a true Ring of Honor deal. And I guess we should have known that after Tony Khan bought it. So maybe that's our fault, being not seeing the signs.
Yeah, look, and Tony Khan has mentioned it. He's a big fan of Ring of Honor and all the stuff since he was a kid. But listen, I'm saying this as a fan of wrestling, not as a journalist or whatever people call me. I think it's a good time just to put rest Ring of Honor. The company has already been sold to Tony. Tony's the one in charge of Ring of Honor. I feel this way. Tony Khan is just hurting more Ring of Honor because he's not, having Ring of Honor wrestlers holding the titles. He's not having Ring of Honor's advanced. Everything has to be AEW. So I'm feeling that way, that he's hurting more the company. So that's why I say I don't see Ring of Honor reaching December 2024. So I think with this new thing of AEW Collision being introduced, I think it would be a good moment and a good opportunity to put to rest Ring of Honor, bring everybody from Ring of Honor to AEW Collision, have people from the AEW main roster going to Ring of Honor. Not Ring of Honor, AEW Collision, do the brand split. Because, let's be honest, if they keep moving on with this thing of Ring of Honor being held by AEW wrestlers and all the stuff, it's just going to keep hurting the reputation of the company. So it will be the best.
Interesting. I see your point. It's kind of hard to salvage Ring of Honor, but I guess we should have known, going back to the point I mentioned just a little bit earlier, that it was not going to be the same Ring of Honor, especially to the hardcore fans and audience that remembered it so fondly from back in the day. And
because
I
I
guess
might
we should have expected it.
look, I might be wrong for what I'm saying that we might not see Ring of Honor reaching 2024 or December 2024. All right, but if I recall, I did not see when WWE bought WCW. I did not see them going all in and all the sudden. I know they had a rivalry like WCW versus WWE. Yeah, WWF back then it was WWF, but they quickly shut it down. Just for the respect of the company and the reputation. They did the thing and all the stuff. They have a match at, I think it was a Survivor Series. They had WWF versus WCW. And after that, that was the end. They shut down the company, and everybody from WCW, they either had the option of, you can come to WWF, you can join us, or you can freely go to another company you want. They didn't make everybody, no, you gotta come here. They give them the option, and a lot of people, they joined WWF, and a lot of people, they took their different path. So that's why I'm like, Tony Khan has to do it. He has to do this. I know you love the company, and I know you wanted to success and everything, but it's just like, it's time, all right? There's no turning back. It's just time for put it to rest, just like WCW. It's time for that, brother.
Well, I think too, it goes back to promotion. Maybe if they could have presented it to where it really truly was indicative of their own brand, and unfortunately, it's been kind of cross promoted a bit or even too much with AEW, and sometimes I guess that's the thing that's going to happen a lot of the times. Speaking of the WCW invasion, it's a shame if it was executed properly. And I'm not saying I would know how to book it. I think they did what they could, and we got some great matches out of that one pay-per-view that put ECW when they joined as well, because WWE ended up buying them out also. But I think too, you had a lot of wrestlers. To be fair, I'm not blaming either party actually, because you had a lot of the WCW top guys that were still under the Turner contracts, and Vince McMahon was not going to acquire those. And then you had the ones that were willing, like the Booker T's and DDP's. And then, with ECW, you had so many moving parts that added some intrigue, but they even tried the separate brand with ECW
and I think
try to keep it alive. And it just wasn't the same. That's what I'm meaning. And I think that it equates to what we're discussing with Tony Khan and Ring of Honor. It's not exactly the same, but there's a lot of similarities. It's hard to really resurrect a dying brand unless you have a Paul Heyman. But even with Heyman, they still struggled. I mean, and I love Paul Heyman, but because at the end it wasn't all his vision. And I'm not knocking McMahon's or anybody above him. It just was not going to have the same feel.
And look, like I said, I feel like that rivalry of WCW versus WWF, it was rushed, because I believe when they bought WCW, the rights of the TV deals, they were up to expire, like in a couple months, if I recall. From what I see of documentaries and all this stuff. That's why I feel it was kind of rushed. Like, they were like, okay, we got to do this real quick because, the deals are up. They're not going to renew the deals because, we bought the company. We got to do this real quick. That's why I feel it was kind of rushed too. I might be wrong, but, I think that's why it felt like kind of rushed.
It might have been. I mean, we'll never know the exact answers, but it was a shame we didn't get a better invasion angle for sure. I'm not saying that to criticize WWE. I just think there was a lot of missing parts that they could not help, and even with the parts they had that were good, it still just didn't resolve itself. So it was. I don't know. We'll just never know what happens. It's one of those what if type of scenarios, but it's a shame.
Will be a
but
good.
Hey, speaking. No, go ahead.
That would be a good episode for a documentary from WWE or anybody of what if, like because a lot of people up to this day, they question like, what would have happened if WWE would keep WCW running, like a weekly show under the WWE brand. Like, that would be a good documentary, like, now that I'm thinking about it,
there would be a lot of content, and a lot of people you can interview and research to be done to make that successful. So
Bec-
I
now,
think it would be a terrific idea.
like, not gonna lie, now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of things that would have happened if WWE would keep WCW as a brand. Like, you would have had Sting. I think he was on WCW. I think.
Yeah.
You would have all these people, and if you would keep as a brand, like you had a good chance of seeing the Undertaker versus Sting back then.
I think the timing got too late, and I think hindsight's always 2020, and Sting's even said it himself.
Yeah,
There was the rumors he was supposed to face Kurt Angle, and I forget the number of WrestleMania it was where WWE had been in negotiations with Sting even then, right after they bought WCW. And then, of course, hey, he had a successful career in TNA. So,
yeah,
Impact, he felt like, he bought into what they were selling down there, and he was used to being the opposition. And hey, I can respect the icon for saying that, and the Hall of Famer meaning Sting, and now look what he's doing in AEW. So it's unfortunate what happened with WWE and stuff, but
he already said.
Hey, listen, I'm happy for him.
And listen, he already said that December will be his last match. That he's retiring after December. He had a good career. He had a long, good career.
Oh, yeah. He had a great career.
Hopefully, I'm saying this is a good way. Hopefully, he retires and he doesn't pull up a Ric Flair like every other year he comes out of retirement. He has one last match. I'm not saying as a joke or anything like that. I'm saying that's the good way. Hopefully, he doesn't do that.
Do you think we're going to see Sting and Jericho? I mean, with the confrontation, I just caught the clip with the bats. It was pretty humorous and a cool moment, actually. I mean, I'm not saying it to just joke. Like you, I'm being very sincere. Jericho's kind of played it off, but that could all be just a work, to kind of keep us guessing. Maybe we see the Stinger and Y2J.
I think we are. We might see it this summer or later on, but never say never. I think we are.
And also, hey, speaking of returns, Eddie Kingston showed up and attacked Claudio. We know there's real life heat between the two, and I think it's brilliant to play off of it. And Jon Moxley and he are friends in reality, but to be on opposite sides is always good, because most of the time friends make great enemies in the ring. So that was very intriguing. I did catch certain segments. I've got to go back, to be honest, and watch the full episode of Dynamite. But yeah, a lot of surprises. Having Kingston was out with injuries. You can say what you want to about his wrestling style. I do enjoy the sincerity in his promos. Eddie Kingston he's just unique, and there's something about him, an aura that I think a lot of wrestlers are missing or just could use. And Eddie Kingston's, he checks the boxes for me in a lot of ways.
Now, I'm going to say this. This is a little bit off the topic, but have you noticed how AEW has changed drastically of every single week having blood on their matches?
They have, because Moxley, especially in his matches, and I'm not saying it to knock him. It's just you would see it in a lot of old school matches as well, but you would see a lot of blood. I mean, there had to be somebody bleeding in certain matches.
I noticed that last night. I noticed that last week and the previous week that there hasn't been a lot of blood, and I gotta praise that, because bleeding in a match was losing reputation. Because come on, Jon Moxley was bleeding every.
It was getting getting a repetition to it.
Every damn match, it was bleeding. Not even in 5 minutes into the match, I'm like, seriously, Moxley, like really, the match just started, you're already bleeding.
It was a little too obvious. If you're going to bleed in specific matchups, you want it to have a certain issue or stipulation. It doesn't need to be all the time. And I do concur. I think it's important not to overexpose the bleeding aspect of wrestling, especially in the modern era as much.
Yeah, I don't know if they are doing that change or not bleeding every single match, but if they are, I gotta give them the props. All right, I gotta respect.
Yeah, let's give them credit. Let's compliment AEW too. Not saying you have not or me, as far as giving them their due, I think it's important to really highlight that we are wanting everybody to succeed and be supportive, and I'm glad that they're learning, from, as we all do, that hey, we don't need to lead every match, whether it's Moxley or whoever it is.
Yeah, that is correct.
Hey, so let's switch gears a little bit. Speaking of ECW, this was a good segue, and I got to give you a lot of credit for that. You shared something with me about WrestleMania 40, being in Philadelphia, the WWE having their Hall of Fame normally during WrestleMania weekend. And with Philadelphia being the home of Extreme Championship Wrestling, what have you heard about maybe one or two ECW originals? Maybe one of them could even be Paul Heyman getting inducted into the Hall of Fame during the weekend for WrestleMania 40.
Okay, so since they announced that WrestleMania was going to be in Philly next year, even before that, because they already knew, the main talks of Hall of Famers has been, we gotta, give the respect to ECW. Some way or somehow, one way or another, we gotta induct some members of ECW. Because
sure,
Philadelphia is known as the hardcore fan base of Extreme Rules, and they know that. Everybody knows that the Phillies, the hardcore fan base of Extreme matches.
Oh, they're passionate. I mean, they've got a lot of wrestling knowledge other than just hardcore, but I do agree there's a lot of that stigma because of ECW and kind of the style that was presented with the product.
So that's why they are, they've been having those discussions, and they are really going to do it. In my opinion, I think they're going to do it. They are still having conversation because, it's still early to start naming, yes, we're going to have this person, the Hall of Fame. It is still early. I would say around November or December, they're going to have a full list of already candidates of who they're going to have as Hall of Famers. And the final list, the final candidates, I think they're going to have it around January or February. Because I think that's what they do every time. They have a list, a rundown.
Wait till close to the time.
November, December, they had the list set up, and then January and February, they select the final candidates, and then they start announcing. I think that's how they do it, for what I heard. Yes, Paul Heyman's name has been mentioned a lot as a possible candidate of being inducted to the Hall of Fame next year, because ECW, he was the person running the show and all the stuff, but
especially during its hot period as well.
But besides him, they want to do two more, and I haven't gotten names of who possibly could, but I'm hearing they want to do a minimum of 3 people or 2 in the next class of Hall of Fame of ECW.
And I think it's appropriate, to your point, because it's in Philadelphia. It's the home of ECW. And even before ECW got bought out, let's be real, there was some sort of working relationship with ECW and the WWE, because they were trying for a lot of talent not to go to WCW. We saw Raven go there. There was an agenda there which was very smart on behalf of those companies. And I was a WCW fan as well, or also. So I could see their logic, and I learned that off Bruce Pritchard's podcast. So I got to give credit to another podcast. It's not like I'm that knowledgeable, but you do start obtaining that knowledge via listening to the various people who were there. And Bruce Pritchard was good friends with Paul Heyman. I mean, it's been discussed, I think, on other, programs, that there was an early ECW invasion on an early episode of when Raw started premiering on Monday nights, when it was Monday Night Raw. That's what I was trying to get at. So RVD, I think, showed up. Jerry Lawler, he literally couldn't stand ECW for what they represented, and it just added to. He even made a surprise appearance. Jim Cornette talks about making a surprise appearance, and them just welling away on Tommy Dreamer and the Sandman, and a lot of the ECW originals. So it's very intriguing because it brings up these memories or what I've heard, and a lot of it could be speculation, but a lot of it merits truth due to who's speaking about it, because people who were there, like Cornette, like Pritchard, and so it's interesting. Even before an invasion angle even happened, and ECW ended up getting bought out like WCW, there was still some sort of relationship, at least there for a period of time, between the two companies, meaning WWE and ECW.
And look, like I said, they're gonna do it. All right, they're not gonna miss this opportunity. All right, because let's be honest, how many more years is WrestleMania gonna come back to Philly? They're not gonna miss this opportunity. That's why I heard the rumor, and I'm like, yeah, they're gonna do it. They have to. They're not gonna miss this opportunity. And
I mean, think of the fan reaction too. I mean, WWE Philadelphia has been a big town for WWE for the NWA and then WCW and especially ECW. I mean, there's going to be a lot of loyalists, if you will, you're going to have the chance of ECW. Come on.
And the thing is, okay, if we're gonna select people besides Paul Heyman, RVD is already in the Hall of Fame. I'm trying to think if Sabu is in the Hall of Fame.
I don't think Sabu. Boy, that's been a contentious relationship between he and Vince McMahon. I don't think they're on good terms. I love Sabu, and I respect Vince McMahon, even for all the controversy.
Look, Vince say whatever he wants. 51% of the company belongs to Endeavors, all right? Let's just...
Well, yeah, that's true, too. And sometimes I don't even realize it, so I'm glad you...
People are like,
spoke Vince, on that.
Oh, Vince is backstage. Yeah, I don't care. He's only owner of 49%, all right? That 49% is not going to last long enough, all right? I don't care about what you all say. I'm saying the truth, right? That 49% of Vince McMahon ownership ain't going to last that long, all right? That's not going to last. He's either going to pass it to Stephanie.
I'm not sure, though. I mean, I would just counterpoint just real quickly. I think they're on good terms, at least right now. Now, I know that can change, but I think Vince McMahon will still be around or involved somehow, even if he's not got as much power as he used to.
So, look, this is how I see it. It's not going to last long, all right? He either going to pass that 49% to Stephanie and Triple H, or he's just going to sell it, and then he's going to be 100% owned by Endeavors. That's why everybody that's watching this that always get paranoid and panic about, oh my God, Vince is backstage, they're changing it. Y'all need to chill out. All right.
I'll tell you who deserves going back to the Hall of Fame induction, and I know he's had his troubles with the administration of WWE, and I don't know that this will happen, but I think due to what he was able to do in ECW alone, even without his time in WCW or the WWE then, is Shane Douglas. I mean, you talk about a top star that, just like Sabu or Taz and RVD, who was recognizable. I mean, not just Tommy Dreamer, not just Sandman, not just the Dudleys. We're talking he was the franchise. I mean, hey, let me respect the contributions to the wrestling industry and what Shane Douglas was able to do.
Now that you say Tommy Dreamer.
Tommy Dreamer's another one. Yeah.
Is he in the Hall of Fame?
I'm not sure if Tommy Dreamer's in the Hall of Fame, but since we were throwing out names and trying to recollect some of the important figures in ECW history, I mean, that's a big list.
Yeah, no, I know that, but I respect that, but I'm trying to think if he's actually in the Hall of Fame or not.
That's another good question. We need to research, because a lot of times we kind of get off topic, and it's very fascinating to wonder. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. Because I've even thought people that were in the Hall of Fame were not yet. I've been guilty because, there's been so many over the years. I'm trying to recount who's in and who's out, or who's still yet to be, inducted.
Look, I received this since I posted that WWE wants to possibly induct some ex-member ECW at the Hall of Fame next year. I've been receiving a lot of messages. Oh, what about Batista? he was supposed to be inducted 2020, but things happened. About Batista, I want to clarify. No matter if he gets inducted or not, he is still part of the Hall of Fame. There hasn't been an official induction, all right? For me, I think he's still part of the Hall of Fame. Now, I just don't see him being inducted yet. Not yet.
But I think he does deserve it. Maybe not yet, but Batista, even though he's a part of the Hall of Fame, he needs that introduction.
Not
Considering
yet.
how successful he was.
I might be wrong, but I don't see Batista being inducted next year to the Hall of Fame. I think they're waiting the right moment.
I gotcha. Well, hey, moving along here a little bit, we know Bobby Lashley is indeed returning. We've seen the vignettes. He's been drafted to SmackDown. I mean, when can fans see Bobby Lashley, his comeback? There's also a lot more rumors going on about Bray Wyatt. Talk to us about that. And Brock Lesnar, you said that he was going to be possibly on the an episode of Raw. Was it
July
that
3rd.
date, July 3rd? 3rd. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Kind of speak to us about that a little more. On some of these likely returns, maybe they're not so likely. I mean, what do we know?
All right, so let's start with Brock. Brock, he is scheduled to be at Raw July 3rd. He is scheduled. WWE has officially announced it and all the stuff. He might be a Money in the Bank. He might. I'm not saying he will. He might. I'm saying he might because there's been some talks and they pitch ideas of Brock possibly traveling with WWE to London for Money in the Bank. And it's all because Cody's going to have a match with Dom and all this stuff. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm not saying Cody's going to lose, alright? But if Cody is, he is going to lose, if he is going to lose, I don't see Dominic getting a clean win against Cody. So,
I mean, you think there's got to be interference just due to him being that kind of lying, cheating heel persona?
Yes. So, if I want to see Dominic win against Cody, what is that going to tell me? We might see Brock there. The talks has been there. They pitch ideas of Brock being a Money in the Bank. So, I'm thinking and I'm analyzing. I'm like, okay, Cody's going to fight against Dominic. Dominic hasn't get a clean win for a long time. He always get wins because of interference or cheating. Cody is in a rivalry with Brock Lesnar. They're going to have a match at SummerSlam. So, and they already been pitching ideas of Brock being there at Money in the Bank. Possibly being there. So I'm assuming he's going to make an appearance and he's going to cost Cody the match.
I mean, it could be very plausible. I mean, it would make sense. Maybe even before the Raw. After Money in the Bank in London. I mean, it sure would make sense with he and Cody feuding and the promos Cody's been cutting against Brock Lesnar. Hey, and another question, what are some likely locales, just meaning destinations, for some more premium live events for the WWE?
Oh, wait. I forgot to talk about Bray and Bobby. I forgot about to talk about...
my bad. Yeah, I moved on, and that's my fault. I kind of got ahead of myself.
No, it's all right. And, about Bray, it's a matter of weeks. Okay. It's a matter of weeks. I'm not saying he's going to be a Money in the Bank. All I'm hearing since last night and the previous day is a matter of weeks. He is going to be ready for SummerSlam, from what I'm hearing. He is going to have a match at SummerSlam, most likely. But I'm hearing it's a matter of weeks that the return is imminent. I'm like, how soon could he be back? And they're like, it's a matter of weeks. They're getting ready. They're getting everything set up. For what I heard, the Firefly Funhouse props and the puppets, the dress that they use for Extreme Rules, They're getting relocated from where they are right now. Everything's getting relocated. I don't know where they are currently at right now, but
It's a mystery.
from what I heard, everything that was storage is getting relocated. It's getting moved already. And the last time that everything was moved, it was after Backlash. That was the last time that everything of the props of Bray and all the stuff, everything was relocated. That it was moved. That it was backstage for the SmackDown after Backlash. But then after that, they stopped moving it. So I don't know when they're gonna do the relocation and start moving stuff. But I heard they're gonna start removing stuff. Relocating things. And about Bobby Lashley, they say that we might see Bobby traveling with WWE at Money in the Bank. I haven't heard anything about him making an appearance of Money in the Bank, but they're saying he is most likely traveling with WWE for Money in the Bank. He might have some meet and greets and all those stuff, like they do always.
Correct.
But I'm hearing he might travel with the company.
Hey, that's all very fascinating, and I don't know why I got so excited about going to the next question, but yeah, we did. I'm glad you stopped me because I mean, it happens. We're human. We make mistakes. I don't know what happened
No
with me
way.
there, but I'm glad you stopped me because yeah, we need to hear about the others, and I'm even the one that asked the question, so that was kind of funny.
No
Hey,
way.
there's some humor on the show too, but I'll go to we needed to know all the details regarding that question, so thank you for helping me there. Your assistance. I made the tag, if you will. But what are some of the likely destinations for more premium live events concerning WWE?
Well, okay. About premium live events, WWE has Germany, Paris, Japan, Brazil, and Australia under the radar as potential candidates for premium live events. Now, they start analyzing and, checking some other countries because they want to do more Raws and more SmackDowns outside the country. I haven't
Which would
posted
be cool.
I haven't posted this on my website yet, but I received the news this morning. They were like, so they have been analyzing and talking about the possibility of having Raw and SmackDown outside the country too. They want to be more international. They want to go more around the world. And SmackDown was a good hit at Puerto Rico. They made a ton of money. And from what I'm hearing, SmackDown has officially sold out at London. I think.
Wow. And not a surprise, actually. I mean, I had the reaction as a good wow, but it's really not shocking due to the popularity of wrestling everywhere, globally, like you said, internationally, especially, in the UK.
Yeah, now I did mention that WWE is hardly analyzing the possibility of having Raw taking place at Puerto Rico in a future day. They might go.
That would be something. I mean, I enjoyed the SmackDown, the drone kind of way they introduced the show, gave it a different feel, and even the premium live event with Backlash in Puerto Rico.
That's not the last time you're going to see drone shots, all right? That's not the last time. You're going to see more about that in future premium live events, just like the Saudi show. You're going to keep seeing drone shots. They're trying new things, all right? And they're analyzing the possibility of going back to Puerto Rico with Raw. And there are other names being pitched in, like Mexico, like Canada, and all these places, but they haven't made a full decision yet if they actually want to take the risk of going out the country with a weekly show. Because you gotta remember, time zone. You gotta time difference. You gotta ask the country permission for viewership. Not viewership. The contrast with the branding of USA Network and Fox, because a lot of those channels, they don't have any rights to having live shows and all that on some countries. So you gotta keep in mind.
There's a lot more that goes into it. It's what you're mentioning.
Because if I recall, SmackDown is gonna be live on London. It's gonna be live. But if I recall, I think the show is gonna happen at 3 o'clock Eastern time over here, 3 p.m. I think.
Yeah, I didn't realize. I'm glad you're telling us, because I
Yeah,
need
I-
reminders.
yeah. People are like, "Oh, it's gonna be record." No, it's gonna be live. It's gonna be at 3 p.m. I gotta figure it out the right hour, but I think I saw 3 p.m. Eastern time. I might be wrong, but I gotta.
I'm glad you educated us on the time, because that is the thing, the time zones and everything
Yeah, like
in other countries.
they want to go to different countries and other stuff, but they're keeping in mind time zone. That's what they're keeping in mind on.
Well, hey, it's all been fascinating. Is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap this episode up?
I hear you.
Is there anything else you would like to add before we wrap this episode up?
Oh, about oh my god, what I was gonna say. Oh, okay. So there's a report going on around somebody supposedly asking for a release. I'm talking about you, Drew. I'm talking about Drew McIntyre. That story false. Drew has not asked for a release. He has not asked for a release. He is not unhappy with the company because of creative team or anything like that, alright? He was injured. They already confirmed it. He got the medical release. Now he's good to go back to action. But I don't know who started this rumor that he asked for his release. I can tell you that story false. He did not ask for the release, alright?
So it's not true at all. Some of these where he's inquiring about, there's contract issues, with the money and that the creative.
No, I think the money thing was an issue. I think that is real because I heard that report too from one of my sources that they were talking about money is being an issue. They've been mentioning, but me personally, I have not heard anything about contract situation or that he's unhappy with the company or that he is asking. No, I haven't heard anything about that.
Well, wherever he shows up, I'll be glad to see him, and I'm a big fan of Drew McIntyre. There was one last question I was meaning to ask you before we do wrap this thing up. In your opinion, will Jey Uso join his brother Jimmy or side with the Bloodline? I guess we better, acknowledge the Bloodline here.
I think he will side with Jimmy.
Yeah, I think they'll be in a tag team match against Roman and Solo.
Yeah,
I think that's why it's just a tease, and Heyman's perfect with all the facial expressions.
It will be a Money in the Bank too.
Oh, it'll be Money in the Bank? Okay.
Yeah.
I look forward to it then. Hey, listen, let people know where they can find you on Twitter, on social media.
Oh, they can find me at Wrestling Blog and social media. That's on Twitter. That's the only place I am right now. I'm nowhere else.
Give him a follow. Yeah, it's great stuff.
There was a Facebook page pretending to be me. We shut it down. We reported it.
Oh, no.
Yeah, we reported it.
No, I'm glad you did. There's a lot of that. Surely not on social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or people impersonating each other. Come on. I'm of course, being sarcastic. There's a lot of that. Too much. Follow the Wrestling Blog on Twitter. Also, you got to follow WrestleBuddy.com on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Please like and follow us there. Also, subscribe. Not only like and follow WrestleBuddy, but subscribe to our YouTube channel where you can see this show, Around the Table Wrestling Scoops, and also, a lot of great content from our staff, our teammates. I want to, give them a lot of credit and adulation. They deserve it. But that's going to conclude another tremendous episode. I'm Tyler Peters once again, and joining me, as always, has been the insider from the Wrestling Blog. It's been episode 7 of Around the Table Wrestling Scoops. Stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, goodbye to everyone.